Welcome to the Medical Maze. I'm your host, Donnellen Ray, and today we're going to be talking with Bethany Broom, who has a condition called Kleine Levin Syndrome, also known as Sleeping Beauty Syndrome, so that's going to be interesting. But first, let's say hello to my co-host, Phil.
This definitely ain't a Disney movie.
No,
We're going to be talking about. This is something that I have honestly never heard of. This is probably the first time our viewers are going to experience this. So we're definitely in for a treat.
Yeah. I just think it's fascinating when I saw this listed out there and some folks saying they had this condition. I just thought, well, how interesting. And I just wanted to get someone on here who could tell us about it. And Bethany agreed to do that. So welcome, Bethany. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, we're so glad that you took your time out today. And so let's just dig in. So what is Kleine Levin Syndrome? And is that what you normally call it, or KLS? Or do you call it Sleeping Beauty Syndrome? What's the most common?
I'll usually do KLS or Sleeping Beauty Syndrome.
Okay.
Just to kind of make it a little bit easier for people to understand.
Okay. So this is something that, in my research as I was studying this, seems that it happens a lot starting in maybe some adolescence, but it means long periods of just sleeping, like 18, 20 hours a day or whatever. So first off, let's talk about a little bit of the basic medical stuff about it. And then I want to hear how this has impacted your life and what a day in your life is like. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, so what is it?
So it is from my understanding, from also research as well, a portion of my brain is not developed correctly. And it starts out with either a severe illness, like if somebody has cancer, or it also can be triggered by traumatic experiences.
Okay.
And then it'll cause a person to go to sleep, or myself to go to sleep for some a few days, others weeks at a time.
Holy
For
moly.
me personally, my episodes last 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so they think that a cause could be either some sort of illness, or somehow maybe the brain, there's just some sort of jarring of the brain, a trauma or something that might cause this. So there's not like one known cause, or there's some sort of like genetic component to it. They're just not sure that there's something with the brain though, right? Something affecting the
Right.
area that sleeps, I guess, a lot.
Right.
Okay.
So basically, they're saying like when I was born, I was a portion of my brain wasn't developed correctly.
Mm.
And then in 2015, which was the year that my episode started, I actually witnessed my father commit suicide.
Oh my.
So that was obviously very traumatic for me.
Sure.
I still have PTSD and everything from it. But when that event occurred, that started to trigger that part of my brain to begin having episodes.
Okay, so by episodes, are we talking about then the sleeping? Is that
Yes.
okay? And you said yours are for 2 weeks.
Yes. They happen for 2 week period of time. Currently I'm on medication to help. I've been on the medication since 2016, but the medication doesn't stop completely the episodes or the sleeping periods. They just delay them from how frequently they happen.
Oh wow. Okay. So so how often do you have these episodes? Do you have them so many a year or so many a month?
So before I was on the medication, I was having them every month to every 3 months.
Okay.
And now that I've been on the medication for a while, they're every 2 years.
Oh wow, that's gosh, that's a big improvement then, isn't it? So
Yes.
because when you're telling me that you're basically so sleeping is the biggest one. So what about, I mean, do you wake up long enough? I assume you wake up to eat and general hygiene or something, right? Or going
Yes.
to the bathroom or something. But
So I'll wake up to eat or I'll use the restroom,
hmm
but it's like I'm sleepwalking. So I'm still not aware of anything going on around me. Um, my wife or my mother can be sitting in the room talking to me, and I don't know that they're there. A
really,
lot of when I come out of the episode, I'm kind of asking them because those two are the main ones who kind of help me during
okay,
that period.
okay,
And I'm kind of talking to them, figuring out what was reality and what I dreamed while I was in that state of mind. It also affects my cognitive ability.
really, okay,
So when I'm in that state of mind, my cognitive ability is more like a 6 or 7 year old compared to a woman in her 20s.
oh, really, okay. Well, I noticed as I was doing some research on this too, I noticed they said something about hallucinations. Do you have something like that? Is that part of it, or is
I have
yours just
dysphoria.
basic unawareness?
Now, I've had hallucinations as well,
Mm.
nightmares, people in my bedroom while I'm trying to sleep, standing over me,
Oh no.
all sorts of things.
Wow. Wow. So I know they said confusion and amnesia. So it sounds like you definitely aren't aware of things sometimes. You don't remember. So this goes on for 2 weeks. So someone has to kind of stay with you during that time because they have to get you up. Do they wake you up at certain times and just to make sure that you're eating and you're going to the restroom? I mean, do they try to wake you
The
up, I don't know, every
main
6 hours or something? I don't know.
the main thing is they try to make sure I eat at least once or twice a day during my episode, and then they'll make sure I take my medication still.
Okay, so and you're not even really aware of your eating or anything like that. You're just going through the motions.
Right. I've
Wow.
also more so when I was, between 18 and 20, having my episodes, but I've also driven.
Oh
Um,
no.
so it was to a point where when I went into the episode, they would kind of take my car keys and hide them,
Whoa.
to make sure I wouldn't get them. I've also tried to cook
Oh
and
wow.
ended up setting whatever I was cooking on fire. And so, like you were mentioning, somebody does stay with me
Yeah.
24/7 during these. My wife will be here, and then when she has to go to work, my
hmm
mother fortunately has a work from home job. So that kind of gives her more availability to come sit with me at the house while my wife's at work.
Wow. Wow. So I can't. So
How does this differentiate from narcolepsy?
So with narcolepsy, people tend to just fall asleep, like if they're driving, kind of fall asleep type thing. With KLS, I go to bed like normal, and then I just basically don't wake up for 2 weeks.
oh wow. So your whole entire life. Because I was just thinking, you said 15, so you were still been in school. You couldn't go to school,
I
right?
was I was 18.
Okay. Okay. So
Yes.
I was just thinking, for anyone who's in school, you can't go to school during that time. You can't work, right? You can't. You're just not functioning.
Right. So right after, because it had my episode started the end of 2015, so it was right after high school, and I had tried to start college, and I was also working full time because it was then just me and my mother, since my father had committed suicide. And so I was working full time trying to go to school. And when my episode started, we didn't know what it was. I
Yeah.
went through several different doctors and testing for a whole year before getting diagnosed. But it did cause me to get fired from jobs.
Oh, I imagine.
Um,
Yeah.
I also got kicked out of college classes because of attendance issues.
Okay.
And pretty much I had to quit everything for a 2-year period, until my medication and everything was regular enough to where I could actually function somewhat normal.
Wow. Wow, what a profound effect to have on your life. And I read that this kind of lasts for like medium of like 14 years. So for 14 years of your life, and then it just kind of goes away. Is that true? It just is that what I did? Is that correct? It just kind of goes away?
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Um,
You're still
I
waiting?
Yeah, but say I'm still waiting on that and
Yeah.
hoping that it will. Because also like the medication that I'm on, like I said, it does help prevent the frequency of it,
Mhm.
but the medication can also have long-term issues for me as well because it can cause liver disease and other things too.
Oh, holy
So
moly.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping eventually I would be able to stop that medication to hopefully help my health later on in life.
Wow. Isn't that the shame that trying to treat one thing you're hurting something else? That's really a shame. So
Yeah.
let's go back to what you were saying being diagnosed. So is this like a process of elimination diagnosis? They try to test you for other things and then they kind of get here, or is there a test of some kind or something that is an easy way for them to diagnose it?
So there's not really easy test. It's also really difficult because it is so rare. Only about 1,000 people have it worldwide.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
So not a whole lot of people know. It went through, like I mentioned, I went through several testings. My psychiatrist had even put me in a mental institution for a week,
Of course.
um,
Wow.
Why
because
does
she
that
thought
seem
I
like
was
that's like the thing to do? Like, come on. That's not
Wow.
mhm.
that doesn't seem like that's the right thing to do. That seems like we don't know what to do, so we'll put you here so someone else can handle you.
I mean, but what
Right.
happens there? You just sleep? I mean, you can do that at home. You don't need to be in a mental institution for that.
Money.
Pretty much. But
Oh
she
gosh.
thought I was clinically depressed.
Oh.
And then
Oh.
after I
Okay.
was released, she was then talking about shock therapy.
Oh my god. What?
That's usually a
And
last resort, isn't it?
yeah, and that's kind of actually what led to me getting diagnosed, because the doctor that was uh, having the discussion with me and my mother about the shock therapy, we kind of sat there and explained to him the symptoms and everything I was having of why she was talking about that. And he's like, you don't need shock therapy. You have Kleine Levin syndrome.
Wow.
And he had found that out because through his school and education, he had come across that disorder and had been studying that disorder.
Well, that's what I was just thinking too. You're dealing with maybe if it is as rare as you're saying it is, then these doctors don't know about it, do they? So they're
Right.
just kind of diagnosed by I don't mean guessing, total guess, but it's like I can see depression. It does people can't sleep on it, but I don't know that they sleep. Do they sleep that long? And to the point that they can't. I guess maybe it can not. They can't function in life. So I guess I kind of see
Right.
that, but you were just lucked onto somebody who had some training or had some education on it.
Yes.
Wow.
When
Wow.
you heard that for the first time, and what was your reaction? Was it relief or was it like, holy crap, I have something that only 1,000 people in the world have?
I was relieved, and just because it took a year of so many doctors and hospital trips and just everything, and so to finally, after that year of going through all that, having an answer for what was going on with me, it was just a sigh of weight off my shoulders.
Hmm.
So you really did. You felt for sure that's it. This is a fit. I have all those things. This really is it.
Yes.
Okay. Because there's, like you said, I don't guess there's any tests they could do for it. I mean, I would assume they probably would have done things like sleep studies. You know, I mean, if it was a sleeping disorder or, I don't know what else you do other than the process of elimination. So,
Right.
and then of course, then what I call Dr. Google, you get on there and then you start trying to do, ask Dr. Google what's going on, right? So, do your
Yes.
research that way because then how do you know, okay, well, here's this list of symptoms I got. Check, 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 check. Got that, got that. So then it's like, okay, now what? So then it sounds like after that, then they have some medications that help the symptoms. Is that it? Then you go into treating the symptoms because is there a cure for this?
Yeah. So there's not a full cure. Um, it's just like the medication that I'm on, which is Provigil. Um, it just helps decrease the frequency, so you're not constantly having the episodes.
So how frequent are your episodes now?
They're 2 years apart.
2 years apart. So the last one you had was 2 years ago, or just recently?
So my last one was August of 2023.
Oh, okay.
How long were you out?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Wow.
Well, and I know you're working, so how does that affect that? Do they just know? Are they understanding that you have this condition and that you might be out for 2 weeks every couple years?
So after that episode, yes,
Oh, I
I had
see.
actually started this job in June, excuse me. So August was my first episode with them,
Mm,
and I had talked to them a little bit before I went into the episode about it, but of course they didn't fully understand.
right.
Um, and it happened with my old employer too, but the very first day I was in the episode, I was able to kind of tell and at least a little bit there to contact my boss.
Okay.
And she was like, "Well, I don't have anybody else to cover you, so I need you to come in."
Oh,
And
It
I
doesn't
went
work like
in
that.
and I ended up pretty much in a chair staring off into space like a zombie. And my coworker was calling her and telling her, she's like, somebody else got to come in. Like, this girl cannot be here. She can't do nothing. Like,
mm-hmm.
come on
Mm-hmm.
now. And so that's kind of when the proof was, she was like, oh, Bethany really does have this. And I ended up having to get doctor's statement and everything.
That's what I was wondering. Would they accept a doctor's excuse, so to speak, for that?
Yes.
Okay. So, okay. So
Do
what
you,
happens? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Do you feel it happening? Like when you know you're gonna fall asleep? Do you feel like, oh, this is it? This is gonna be a big one?
Sometimes, yes. Now I can't predict like if basically what it is I will start my cognitive ability will start going away. I won't be able to remember things as well. I'll be more tired or get tired more quickly,
Okay.
and I'll be forgetting things. Just all those sorts of things will happen, and I'm like, okay, I might be about to go in the episode, but it could be days after, or it could be weeks after.
Oh, really? So they
Yes,
start that early signs or something that early. Oh, wow.
yes. As
Wow.
I can't really pinpoint when I'm going to go into it, I can just kind of start feeling the symptoms and at least give my family a little bit of a notice.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. So that's when you're coming in. So when you come out of one, is it like ta-da, everything's normal? Is it like, you just wake up and you're like, okay, I'm well rested now. I'm going to go on with my life. What is that like?
No, I feel kind of groggy
Okay.
for a couple of days, and my mind's still a little bit foggy,
Okay.
and it takes me about 2 to 3 days to fully feel like normal again.
Wow.
Wow. So you really, that's hard. Maybe it's better now with the medication, but man, you can't really plan. anything like that before, I wouldn't think. I mean,
Like, what if you were on vacation?
yeah, yeah. I mean, your social life's impacted. Everything's kind of.
Yeah, it's definitely been hard. Because it's like even with the 2 years, like the beginning of 2023, I knew it was the 2 year mark. So I'm like, okay, from January to December, some point I'm gonna have an episode. I just didn't
Okay.
know when.
Okay. So at least on the medication, you can plan a little better, so to speak. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And how long have you been on this med?
I started in November of 2016.
Okay. So, and this started for you in 2015?
Yes, my first episode was December 2015, and then I got the diagnosis and the medication in November of 2016.
Okay. Okay. So shortly thereafter, at least you were put on something that seemed to help. That's
Yes, I
good.
went a full year of trying to get the diagnosis and everything.
Wow. Wow. So I can just imagine. So how does this impact um your family life, your social life? You said you're married. So how does this impact your wife? It would just seem to take, I mean, it's just like chunks of your life are kind of on hold or just non-existent. You're not functioning and somebody has to be with you, and then they have to, I guess you said your mom and your wife have to adjust their schedules to sit with you. And so how's this been from.
It's definitely impacted all of us. My mother basically we kind of went into debt for a little while when it
Mm,
first began.
mm-hmm.
Because of all the doctor visits and everything. And her income was the only income since I
Mm.
kept getting fired.
Oh gosh.
Um, and then as far as my wife goes, a little bit of a sweet part. Uh, it's kind of how I knew she was the one because I had tried to date a couple of times when it first started, and people just thought I was crazy and making
Mm,
things up.
mm.
And when I had told my wife, Mercedes, about it, when we were talking, when we first started dating, she researched it immediately
Oh,
to learn more about what I had. And I'm like, okay, like, cool.
she's a
But it's,
keeper.
yeah, but it still definitely impacts her. Because like I normally am the one who keeps track of our bills and finances.
Oh
Okay.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I
Hey, why
go
is the
into
power off?
episodes, it kind of all falls on her.
Yeah.
Um, Taking care of our animals, the finances, just everything is her, and it definitely can get overwhelming for her sometimes.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I can imagine, is there any sort of support group or community that you belong to or that she belongs to for, I don't know, families of people with this? I mean, you said there's only, what, 1,000 globally that have this?
Yes.
Or is that how many has been diagnosed, but maybe there's more who have it? It's because, I mean, like we were saying earlier, it's like, teens sleep a lot anyway. So then it's like when does it, I guess when you're not functioning for 2 weeks, then it's like you're into a different territory here. Um,
I definitely would say there's probably more out there who don't have the diagnosis
mm-hmm.
for either one reason or another. Like I mentioned, I got very lucky to get my diagnosis,
Mm-hmm.
to finally find that one doctor who knew what it was.
Okay. And did you say it was a
Um,
neurologist or who was that?
yes, so he specialized in neurology, psychology, and sleep.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
That's
he
got to be, that's a blessing though, right? Because you didn't even, if you didn't have them, who knows when you have gotten properly diagnosed.
Well,
right, if
yeah.
ever.
And then you have somebody here who's kind of like all facets of the brain, kind of, that's good because then, I mean, the sleep piece and the neurology and the psychiatry. I mean, that's like a trifecta, isn't it, for someone.
Yeah.
Do you still, is that your doctor now, or are you just
Yes, I
being
still see
maintained?
him.
Okay. Okay. Because it's kind of like, wow, that would be, yeah, that'd be a hard person to find. I mean, if there's so little known about it, I mean, yeah, I wonder kind of what kind of doctor would you normally go to for that? I don't know
Yeah.
if it's by default you end up with a neurologist because you don't know, or a sleep doctor. I'm not sure. Um,
And
Does your insurance like, hey, this isn't real?
so the medication that I'm on is a very high medication, like cost wise,
mm,
Yeah.
even with insurance. And so I kind of have to use uh it's called GoodRx.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And I have to go to Costco, which is another one of those you buy membership
Oh yeah, we know
Right.
Costco.
use.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that's where I have to go for that medication to get it as cheap as possible, and it's still $40 a month.
Okay.
But
When you
if
go
I
ahead.
tried to go somewhere else, I would be paying close to $1,000 a month for it. So
Wow.
Woo!
Wow.
yeah.
That's insane. Now, when you tell someone you have KLS, but you don't say KLS, you say Sleeping Beauty Syndrome. What's their first reaction when you tell them that?
Oh, I would love to sleep for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Until they'd have to do it. Yeah. And then
Yeah. Because
all the other side effects or symptoms that you have with it too, the confusion,
and
amnesia.
that's what I kind of tell them
Yeah.
is like, you might would think that it sounds great, but I've missed holidays, I've
Yeah.
missed birthdays,
Yeah.
I've missed a lot.
Yeah.
'Cause, I
Yeah.
mean, if you calculate up all of my episodes and times it by the 2 weeks, like, there's a lot of time that I've missed in my life.
Mm.
Wow. And see, that's so sad because yeah, I mean, your chunks of your life are just on hold, on hold,
Mhm.
and you are missing out things. Yeah. What about a Christmas, or what about somebody's special birthday? Absolutely. Well, I feel for you. And is it true also, as I was reading, that this is more men than women? Have you found that to be the case?
Yes, I have seen that, even on because 'cause I'm on a Kleine Levin Syndrome Foundation page,
Okay.
that is for families or patients who have it,
Okay.
and I see a lot of "My son has it," or men who post on there who have it.
Mm.
So, yes, it is a little bit more common for men or boys to have it than women.
So wow. So out of that 1,000, you're even more rare, because
Yes.
you're a woman that has it. Wow. Wow. So then the long-term diagnosis, it is, so they said that you had these symptoms for like, a medium of 14 years or whatever. And then it kind of goes away, or I assume then your episodes just get fewer and far between. But are there any long-lasting symptoms from it? Or do you just kind of like go on after they stop, you kind of go on with life as normal? Is that, or do you still have maybe some of the, I don't know, amnesia, or do you have the, I don't know, I think they said maybe some depression, or do you have those things as lasting effects somehow?
That I'm not positive. I do know that as far as like my, what do you call that? IQ,
Okay.
I know that has kind of dropped a little bit, not dramatically, but it's dropped a little bit from my first episode to now.
Oh, really?
So I don't know everything for sure, but I would say that it does have a little bit of long-term damage on your brain.
Wow.
Do you have to see your neurologist after every episode?
No, not every after every episode. I see him about every 6 months, and he has me, I have to constantly wear a smartwatch that tracks my sleep,
Oh, really? Okay.
and that's one thing that we go over, um, that way, because like, I also have sleep apnea. So I
Okay.
have to wear a CPAP machine.
Mm.
But the watch is mainly for the Sleeping Beauty, so we can kind of track my normal sleep pattern and start seeing that difference when I'm in or around an episode.
Wow. So, well, there, I guess there's another expense to it if you have to have the watch and I assume the app or whatever for it or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But there
Yes.
is something at least that can monitor it. And I guess so he can get that monitoring, or do you, I guess is it fed to him somehow and then he knows where you are in an episode or if you're having an episode? Is that it?
No, I have to download the information
Okay.
and send it to him.
Okay.
And then when I go into an episode, either my mother or my wife will contact him,
Okay.
let him know, hey, she's in an episode, get any documentations my work may need, that sort of thing.
Okay.
What?
Wow. Because it just may be one day you don't show up and you're out for 2 weeks or something.
Yeah. What
Right.
about so I know you said you had a CPAP machine, but do you have something like a EEG machine? 'Cause I'm sure they probably want to monitor your REM sleep and all that when you're in these episodes. Is there anything like that that you do when you're asleep or your wife can help you
That
with?
my watch does the REM sleep.
Mm.
Okay.
Um, so it can kind of tell if I'm in the lighter sleep or if I'm in a deeper sleep, uh, as well as how long I'm sleeping.
You touched on this early that when you're sleeping, you have these weird dreams. Do you have are they
Mm.
recurring? You have like because I have weird zombie dreams that I have like almost like once a week. And I don't know
Like
what they
night
mean.
terrors or something. Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
weirdest thing.
Yeah.
I'm like really good at like parkour when I'm running from the zombies. So I just want to know is there a constant dream that you have while you're when you go through these episodes?
It's just mainly like people in the room or people standing over me,
Mm.
and I can't really like see faces. Like whenever I have those dreams in an episode, it's just basically like a black figure.
Oh jeez,
Yeah.
So
Still scary.
it's
I
the
mean,
it's the aliens.
So, so have all these have your episodes always been 2 weeks, or did they start out maybe a few days and then ended up
no,
being
they've
2 weeks?
always been 2 weeks.
Really? Huh?
Mhm.
Huh? I mean,
And then
just
it just went from before the medication of every month to every 3 months, and then now they're 2 years apart.
wow. But it's like what makes it? What's the trigger that says, okay, I'm just going to shut down for 2 weeks? Not 2 days, not 3 days, not 5 days. 2 weeks is my.
We have noticed that the more stress I'm under,
Mm.
um, plays a big effect on it, as well as I cannot take anything that makes me drowsy.
Mm.
So I can't take Benadryl,
Oh.
Tylenol PM. Um, I know some, like on the page, the foundation page, I know
Hmm.
some people who have this disorder, they can drink alcohol,
Mm.
but not like smoke marijuana, if that's
So,
something people do, and then vice versa.
so does that trigger it then? If you do that, does it want to trigger an episode? Is that, or you
Yes.
just
So,
okay?
like for me personally, I'm able to drink alcohol,
Okay.
but I wouldn't be able to smoke marijuana if I wanted to.
Okay.
There's other people who have KLS who they can't drink alcohol, but they can smoke that.
And they also can't do like the Tylenol PM or Benadryl or anything like that, or is that just kind
Right.
of they're hit or miss on that?
Mhm. And then, like, if I take Benadryl or Tylenol PM or whatever drowsy, I'll immediately go into an episode that night.
Oh, really?
Whoa.
Mhm.
You ever just want to like get in an argument or avoid an argument with your wife and just take one, and be like, I'll be back in 2 weeks.
We'll resolve this in 2 weeks.
Let me sleep it off.
Sleep it off. Exactly. I'll let you know my thoughts on that in about 2 weeks.
But serious though, Bethany, what about have you taken any stimulants that maybe kind of help you stay awake or anything like that? Do those
Mm.
have any effect on you?
So that's kind of what the Provigil is. It's put it in the basic understanding. It's almost like speed, but prescribed.
Okay. But it doesn't make you bounce off
And
the walls on a daily basis. It just keeps you awake.
right, and like
Okay.
normal people who don't have it, it would completely have their heart beating out of their
Mm-hmm.
chest,
Mm-hmm.
everything else. But with my condition, the highest doses they make of Provigil is 200 milligrams,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to take two of those a day.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
So I take 400 milligrams of it a day,
Do you
every
combine it
day.
with caffeine or anything, or?
Sometimes,
Oh my gosh, that'd be like the
um,
Tasmanian devil just flying through a room on that, something like that. Wow, it'd just be crazy. I can't imagine. Can't imagine.
Wow.
Wow.
but
Wow.
with me having the disorder and everything, that's how my body functions.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't function without it.
Yeah.
And it's helped me be able to go to work again, and it's helped me.
Yeah.
I even am graduating from college next month.
Oh,
And so
fantastic.
it
Congratulations.
thank you. And so it's helped me go back to school and be able to finish school.
Wow, you got your life back, actually.
Yes.
And it might be in 2 year increments, but then you know what? If you can keep doing 2 years, I mean, you're what? How many years out now? So hopefully, if you only do like the 14 or so, then you just have a few more years, right? So is
Right.
it what 2015 you said? So you're
Yeah.
looking at what 8 9 years. So yeah, so maybe you
And
just
that's what I'm thankful for about it, because it's like I'm sure there's some people who aren't as fortunate with the medications
mm-hmm,
that they might be given or whatever. But for me, like taking the Provigil has helped me. Like, yes, I might end up having some percussions for it later on, like with my liver or something.
mm,
But I went from not being able to work, not being able to go to school,
mm-hmm,
to I didn't let that stop me. I figured it out. I went to school part time. So it took
mm-hmm.
me 4 years to get a 2-year degree.
That's all right. That's all right.
That's
But
about normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
but I mean, it gave me my life back to where I could go to work and I could do school and get it done eventually.
Oh yeah, you go girl. I mean, that's absolutely. Yeah, I said however long it takes. I mean, I'm just thankful that for you you did have a path that would allow you to move on and kind of gain your life back, gain some control over your life.
And
I
it's
just think
also
it's
been a huge difference having the great support system that I do
yes.
too.
Yes, I can only imagine. You have been very, very lucky. Um, so one thing, and this is going way back, but it was about when you're sleeping episodes. It just crossed my mind though. So when you said that you sleep for 18 or 20 hours a day, so you don't get hungry during those times? And so somebody has to wake you up. Is that it? And you don't get, or you don't feel the urge to go to the bathroom, or would you not wake up at all?
So I definitely do wake up to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Um, and then eating, it varies. Sometimes I'll wake up and I'm hungry, but other times they're waking me up either once or twice a day to just make sure I get some food in me and some water or something.
Okay. So then you probably, would you not wake up then if someone didn't wake you up? Is that kind of it?
Possibly. I would probably sleep a little bit longer of a period,
Okay. Okay. Yeah. It just crossed my
like more
mind.
hours.
Yeah. About then, yeah. What about just being hungry and things like that? Would that even wake you up? It just, wow. Wow. Very interesting condition. I've never known anyone with something like that. And, or that it was actually real. I mean, sleeping beauty syndrome. Yeah. It kind of sounds like, oh, that's, nice. So, well, some sort of fairy tale thing, that's nice.
And then it's also, like I mentioned, like even when I do wake up during those periods, I still don't know what's going on. It's like I'm sleepwalking.
That's
Yeah.
so wild.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, just have no sense of control or of anything that's going on around you. That's, or with yourself. That would just be scary to me. So,
Yeah.
Oh, well, I commend you. So, okay, so you mentioned the Kleine Levin Syndrome Foundation as a place for information. Where else? Anything else? Any place else that if folks want to learn more about this or think that they may know someone that has this,
So
where
I
can they go?
definitely know not Standard, Stanford does research on it. Even now, they even have people like the Klein Levin Syndrome Foundation page. I'll see on there of them posting for Stanford asking for volunteers for
Okay.
research based studies. Um, they've tried to work on um, genetic researches and just anything to learn more about the disorder.
Yeah, and why if you got the flu or something, then you ended up with this condition as opposed to someone else who may have gotten the flu or some sort of illness and ended up and didn't get the condition. See,
Right.
that would be interesting. Why would that? Or did you have compounding things like you said, the trauma, and then had some sort of illness or something? So that would be interesting to kind of know what causes it for you as opposed to someone else. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's where they found talking about the portion of your brain not being developed
Okay.
correctly.
Okay.
Mm.
So it's probably
And
through
then
some brain scans or something. They may be able to see something like that.
right.
Okay. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, who knew? I mean, who even really thought, wow, that's really a real condition and it's debilitating. I mean, you took out of your life, for 2 weeks or however long, every month or 2 or 3. And thank goodness for you, it's 2 years now with some medication, but it took you a year to find that out,
Yes.
to get any answers. So, wow. Amazing. Okay.
Bethany, you need to sell your life story to a movie. I see a comedy in the future. I think it reminds me of 51st Dates.
I've thought about writing a book on it. Definitely.
Go ahead. Go for it. I think it'll work. We call Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore. They can do that one too.
Sleeping Beauty syndrome, and every day, every 2 weeks, we start over. So yeah,
Yeah.
wow, wow. Well, Bethany, thank you so much for joining us and just educating us on this condition. Like I said, it wasn't one I was very familiar with. I may have heard the name, but I didn't know anything really about it. And it's very real. People do suffer from it, and it does change their life. So please, everyone, just go and if you think you know someone, send them to these websites that we mentioned and let them get educated. Listen to this podcast and get some, share that information somewhere. So, but we thank you so much for joining us. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you guys.
Yep. And guys, we will put everything on our website. If you want to know more about Bethany and KLS, you can go to our website at medicalmazepodcast.com. We have blogs or episodes and more information for this particular episode will be in there as well. Or if you want to contact us, you can do so through there. You can leave us a message. Or if you want to be a guest on the show, you can go ahead and leave us a request as well. So from Bethany and Don Ellen, we will catch you guys later. See ya.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.